Developing right now on Morning News Now, search suspended. The rescue effort for 6 missing construction workers, now a recovery operation, one day after that cargo ship collision and the collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge.
At this point, we do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive. We are going to suspend the active search and rescue efforts.
We have team coverage with the latest on the investigation, plus hear from 2 men who crossed the bridge just minutes before it went down. Also this morning, skepticism from the Supreme Court in a consequential case on abortion pill access. We're going to break down yesterday's arguments and the questions from justices in a decision that could shape the future of reproductive rights in America. Plus, mixed feelings from consumers about the U.S. economy, the new data that shows Americans are losing confidence in the country's financial future. And the NFL kicking off controversy in the offseason, new rules that could drastically change football as you know it. We're going to tackle the biggest changes, what's behind them, and what fans can expect to see on the field this fall. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. We are going to begin with the latest on the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. Overnight, the search and rescue operation turned into a recovery mission. 6 workers are still missing after a huge container ship, nearly 1,000 feet long, hit the bridge, sending the workers who are fixing potholes into the cold water below. We've learned the Dolly cargo ship, which was traveling at 8 knots or about 9 miles an hour at the time of the collision, passed 2 foreign port inspections just last year. The investigation is now focused on what went wrong. We have full team coverage of this developing story in just a moment. We're going to speak with Christian Miller and Toby Guttermuth, who saw the bridge collapse. But we begin with NBC's Alice Barr, who was on the scene in Baltimore. Alice, good morning.
Good morning. There are so many questions about how this tragedy could have happened and what lies ahead to rebuild both the bridge and the lives forever altered.
In Baltimore this morning, a broken bridge uniting a community in grief as an urgent rescue mission for at least 6 missing people shifts to recovery.
We're going to do everything in our power to help these families find closure.
Our heart goes out to the families.
The missing part of a road repair crew filling potholes on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when a cargo ship as long as the Empire State Building started showing signs of distress. Flickering lights, dark smoke, and a mayday call as the ship's pilot warned he'd lost power and propulsion before slamming into a support column, sending the bridge tumbling into the Patapsco River.
The bridge is gone. Holy.
2 of the construction workers were quickly pulled to safety. And in the moments before impact, first responders acted quickly to stop traffic on the bridge. Video shows the last 2 cars crossing about 30 seconds before the bridge fell.
I need one of you guys on the south side, one of you guys on the north side, hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching, has just lost their steering.
State, local, and federal agencies working together, with President Biden promising help to rebuild the bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board now interviewing witnesses, examining debris, data recorders, and past safety records.
The NTSB focuses on the facts, so we will figure that out and be able to provide that information in the coming days.
For now, the focus still on the human cost as families wait for answers from the dark water.
And officials believe it will take years to rebuild the Key Bridge, leading to some massive shifts in how people get around this city. Also important to note, the very busy port of Baltimore is now completely locked down. No word yet on when it could reopen, potentially wide-ranging implications on the supply chain from that. Joe?
The impact will be felt for a long time. Alice Barr, thank you so much. We're now joined by Christian Miller and Toby Guttermuth, eyewitnesses who saw the bridge as it collapsed. Christian and Toby, thank you both for joining us this morning. Toby, let's start with you. I understand the 2 of you had just crossed the bridge shortly before the collapse, maybe 30 minutes or so. Where were you when this happened, and how was it you were able to pull out your phone and capture the video as it was going down?
So we were at Fort Armistead Park. It was on just the other side of the bridge from us, so we had to cross that bridge about 30 minutes before in order to get to the park. And so we were just hanging out there listening to music. We were about to go fishing. And I see what I thought was cargo falling off of the front of the ship into the water, causing some water to splash. So I started recording that, not knowing that it was actually the cargo ship hitting one of the columns on the bridge. And sure enough, I got the whole thing on video, the whole bridge coming down. It was scary.
What was going through your mind at that moment, Toby?
A lot of nothing. I just couldn't comprehend anything, and my mind was just racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's just not something you'd ever imagine being able to see with your own eye. Something you only think you'd ever see in a movie.
Christian, what was it you saw and heard, and what were you thinking in that moment?
I just heard a lot of debris fall, metal scraping, stuff hitting the water, obviously the lights going out on the bridge. I didn't know what to think. My stomach just kind of sank, and it was a pretty disturbing sight, you know.
Christian, do you remember when you had crossed the bridge about 30 minutes earlier? Do you recall what you saw on that bridge? Did anything seem out of place or stand out to you?
Well, I saw one lane was closed, and from the construction workers, and obviously I realized that when, you know, after the bridge fell, and that was a pretty disturbing thought, you know.
Toby, after the bridge collapsed, what was it you did? How quickly did you see first responders get to the scene?
So where we were, we knew that once first responders got there, that we would be blocked in. So we left probably about 3-4 minutes after the bridge went down, and then we started seeing first responders pull in as we were leaving the area. And then I saw first responders my whole way home. They just kept passing us.
Christian, my understanding was you guys were supposed to drive back over that bridge not long after it collapsed. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That was the plan.
Knowing that, at minutes after you had crossed it and knowing that you might be crossing it again, that this happened, what goes through your mind?
I'm just thankful we weren't on the bridge when it fell, you know.
Toby, how about you?
It could have happened to anybody. Right. It's a very tragic thing that happened to them. Don't get me wrong. I never wish it upon anybody. They seemed to be just good guys who came here for some work and turned tragic.
Yeah. It's a very unfortunate situation.
You've had a little over 24 hours to just digest everything you've seen and experienced. Just any other final thoughts that you guys have at this moment?
Just hopefully we recover from this as a community, and just prayers are out to the families of lost ones or anyone that was on that bridge that night.
All right. Christian Miller, Toby Guttermuth, thank you both for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
With the port of Baltimore now closed, the impact of this bridge collapse is already being felt in the shipping world. It's too early to say when things could reopen. For now, investigators are focused on figuring out why the ship apparently lost power. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello reports.
It was pitch black as the Dolly left port headed out to sea. Traveling at 8 knots, just over 9 miles per hour, it took just 4 minutes from the first signs of trouble to the moment the ship crashed into the bridge. At 1:24 a.m., the lights suddenly went out on the ship's deck. They came back on a minute later as dark smoke started billowing from the stack. At 1:26 a.m., the Dolly appeared to turn, but at the same moment, the lights went out again. 2 minutes later, at 1:28 a.m., the ship collided with the bridge. The superstructure quickly crumbling into the river below.
We searched best we could this sunken vessel.
Among the questions for investigators, did the bridge have sufficient barriers to protect its support structures?
Once the bridge is impacted directly in one of its piers, Key Bridge or another bridge, that's going to be the end.
Under U.S. law, ships entering and leaving U.S. ports must use a local pilot to help navigate the waters.
They have all the knowledge of the waterways. They memorize the charts. They can literally draw the chart from scratch on a piece of paper.
A local pilot was on the ship.
There's nothing worse on the bridge of a ship when everything goes quiet.
Already, ships that can't get in are backed up outside Baltimore Harbor. Now 24 NTSB investigators are on the scene. They will recover the ship's data recorders, examine the ship's safety and maintenance records.
Any sort of maintenance that was done to a vessel.
An online database shows the ship has had 27 inspections since 2015, with 2 deficiencies found. Last year, a problem with propulsion. In 2016, the ship hit the port in Antwerp, damaging its hull. Because the ship is flagged to Singapore, a team from that country is also responding. Built in 1977, the Francis Scott Key Bridge was constructed to handle heavy traffic. Experts say removing the wreckage from the water, then rebuilding the bridge could take years. The FBI says no indication of terrorism. The fire department says so far no indication of pollution in the water. This is, however, going to impact the supply chain. Cars and products from abroad not able to get into this critical port. And Carnival Cruise Lines just announcing they will move their Baltimore operations for now down to Norfolk, Virginia, at least for the foreseeable future. Back to you.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you so much. The future of access to the nation's most widely used abortion pill is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. Yesterday, justices heard oral arguments on the issue. The Biden administration is appealing lower court rulings that restricted access to the pill mifepristone, including its availability by mail. The High Court appeared likely to reject this challenge to the abortion pill. It's the first major case on abortion to come before the Supreme Court since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022. NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor joins us now. So, Yamiche, what were some of the main takeaways from yesterday's hearing? It looks like the justices had some real questions about if those who brought the lawsuit had legal standing, right?
That's right. And the Supreme Court justices yesterday really sounded deeply skeptical of the arguments being made that the FDA's authority to approve and expand access to this abortion pill, mifepristone, could be challenged by this group of anti-abortion doctors that were suing. Over and over again, we heard this issue of legal standing come up, and it's really well-established precedent that in order to bring a lawsuit, the group suing has to show that they were harmed and also that they would find some sort of redress if they won their lawsuit. And you heard from both liberal and conservative justices on that issue of whether or not these doctors could show that they were actually being harmed by this. I also want to point out that conservative justices, Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett in particular, were pointing out that in federal law already, doctors who oppose abortion, they can already raise objections and not be forced to perform abortions in any way in this country. Also, conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch, I want to read a bit of what he said. He said, this is a prime example of turning what could be a small lawsuit into a nationwide legislative assembly on an FDA role. So that is conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch making that statement. So really deep skepticism, Joe.
So, Yamiche, what happens next now? Do we have an idea of how soon we could get a ruling? And what are going to be some of the possible impacts of that ruling, depending on what they do?
We expect to get a ruling from the Supreme Court in June, and really the impact of this could be wide-ranging. Medication abortion right now is the most common form of abortion. Something like 6 in 10 women who have an abortion do it through medication abortion. That number has gone up since Roe v. Wade was overturned because the FDA, of course, has also expanded access, making it available through the mail and through telehealth. It's also important, of course, to note that we are in an election year, so Democrats are going to be hoping to galvanize voters in particular who are angry over Roe v. Wade being overturned and who are looking at other consequences of that, including this medication abortion. There are also, of course, pauses to IVF that Democrats are going to be pointing to. So there was a lot of talk yesterday from Democrats that I talked to, including a lot of protesters outside the Supreme Court yesterday who are saying that this is going to be top of mind as people go to the ballots. Of course, we should point out that conservatives are also talking about this a ton. They want more wins in the court. They are, of course, continuing to bring cases here after that generational win, really, when they got Roe v. Wade overturned. So a lot will be talked about here, and a lot of women will be impacted no matter what the Supreme Court decides, Joe.
Can you set more of the scene outside of the courtroom? What did it look like out there yesterday?
It was really something to behold. I've covered all sorts of cases outside the Supreme Court, including voting rights cases, tech cases. But yesterday you saw this huge crowd of people, hundreds of people, mostly people who were there to rally in support of abortion. But there was, of course, a small group of anti-abortion protesters. The streets were closed off at the Supreme Court. So really, it was a boisterous and robust scene, and underscores how important this case is in people's minds, Joe.
All right, Amish, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was a rare joint appearance on the campaign trail. President Biden and Vice President Harris were together in a key battleground state this week to talk about health care. It's a top issue this election season for Democrats, who believe the push to expand access to Medicaid could win over voters. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports from North Carolina.
Darcy Gwill was recovering from a car accident. She says the $700 a month for health insurance she was paying was unsustainable.
How terrifying is it not to have insurance?
I didn't know what I was going to do.
But in December, she was among the 600,000 people in North Carolina newly eligible for Medicaid after the state expanded the program as part of Obamacare. Now, adults ages 19 through 64 who earn a little more than the federal poverty line are also covered.
There are no words to describe the relief because I have multiple sclerosis.
In a rare joint appearance on the campaign trail, President Biden and Vice President Harris visited this critical swing state, making a push for rural voters over health care.
And that's why the Affordable Care Act is so important.
Democrats have argued that by not expanding Medicaid, the state was leaving more than $500 million federal dollars on the table each month.
You know, access to health care in rural communities is going to be more stable. It also means we're going to have a healthier workforce.
But 10 other states are still holding out, among them Florida.
There is a significant cost.
Republicans in Florida argue expanding Medicaid is fiscally irresponsible and takes resources away from more vulnerable populations.
We don't want a group of able-bodied working-age adults coming in and impacting health care for those kids and also people with disabilities.
But as the 2024 campaign ramps up, Democrats see health care as a winning issue. Also on the campaign trail, independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced his running mate, Silicon Valley attorney Nicole Shanahan. Back to you.
All right, Gabe, thank you so much. Someone is waking up $1 billion richer this morning. A single ticket sold in New Jersey matched all 6 numbers in the Mega Millions drawing last night. The winner will have their choice between the full $1.13 billion jackpot spread over 30 annual payments or a lump sum payout estimated at around $537 million. It's the first time someone has matched all 6 numbers since December 8th. But don't feel bad if you didn't win. The odds of winning are about 1 in $303 million. Calling on my friends in New Jersey this morning. Flood alerts are up across the southeast as heavy rain is impacting the east today and tomorrow. So for more on that, let's check on your Morning News Now forecast with Angie. Angie, good morning.
Hey there, Joe. Good morning. Good morning. We've got some showers and thunderstorms that we're tracking already this morning and causing the potential for some flooding here through the next day or so across this region. Today, we're focusing on the southeast. You can see some of those thunderstorms with plenty of lightning in the Gulf of Mexico and working up into parts of the Carolinas. Those are the 2 spots that we're watching for the flooding through the day today. You can see from Norfolk down to New Bern, Waycross, Tallahassee, all included in those flood alerts that'll last through today. Here's why. We've got a storm system we've been watching over the past couple of days. It has been impacting us with the same kind of pesky weather. We had it bringing some snow to parts of the upper Midwest over the past couple of days. Now it's just the rain hugging the East Coast for today and parts of tomorrow. Today, again, from Virginia to Florida is the trouble spot with the heaviest of the rain expected. But notice what happens tomorrow. From Philadelphia to Boston, we're looking at some really good soaking rain, and just in time for that early morning commute. You're going to want to add a little extra time for yourself if you're going to head out the door early tomorrow in those locations. We'll likely see some slower travel, some flooding concerns, some ponding on the roadways. That's all going to be on the table here. By the time we get into Friday, most of us seeing 1 to 3 inches of rain, but some spots, again, could see upwards of 4, even 5 inches, which is why we are once again looking for the flooding concern over the next couple of days. And we mentioned it's not just the East Coast, the West Coast getting in on this action as well. We've we've got a couple of storms that we're watching. Storm 1 is today through Thursday. We'll talk about the impacts of that here in a moment. And then when you take an even bigger look and you go a little farther to the west, you see a next storm system that we're tracking. That's going to bring some heavy rain, some strong storms potentially to this region, specifically California. And we'll likely see those mud and rock slides, landslide conditions developing as the day goes on. But we've got some time until that system. Here's the one that we're watching now. We've got the winter alerts up. These are going to last through Thursday. They include parts of the mountainous regions of California. But we've also got some really heavy rain that we're going to watch in those lower elevations. So higher elevations, snow, lower elevations, plenty of rain. And not to mention, closer to the coast you go, we'll see some of those gusty winds. So coastal Oregon, Washington will see that not just today, but for tomorrow, too. You'll start to see the snow spreading into parts of the central and northern Rockies. We'll pick up some good amounts of snow there as well. Up to 2 feet in some of those spots. But when it comes to the rainfall, 1 inch to 3 inches, this is just the first storm that's going to be impacting us through Friday, Joe. We'll likely see that next storm system bring more problems when it comes to the flooding concerns, the landslides, the mudslides. That's all going to be on the table for folks in California here as we get into the weekend and beyond.
All right, we know to keep an eye on it, Angie. Thank you so much. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, how the way to your heart really is through your stomach. The new research that links cardiovascular health to diet. Up first after the break, a somber milestone. American journalist Evan Gershkovich marking 1 year behind bars in a Russian prison as a Moscow court extends his detention. The message now from his family. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This week marks 1 year since Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich was arrested in Russia on what the U.S. says are false charges of espionage. He remains in prison after a court ruled yesterday to extend his detention for another 3 months. NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell sat down with Evan's family to talk about his plight.
Even as a child, Evan was a future reporter, always curious.
He wanted to know the story. Why we came to the United States. Always interested.
Ella and Mikhail left Russia during the Cold War. Growing up, the family spoke Russian at home, his mother giving Evan and his sister Russian names.
To me, he's Vanya.
Vanya.
Yeah.
His parents say he made friends everywhere, which helped him as a journalist.
He was mostly interested in people and telling people's story.
When Evan decided to move to Russia in 2017, they were excited for him, visiting him 6 years ago.
We saw Russia through his eyes. We were with such a great guide to New Russia that we didn't experience before.
Everything changed when Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. Evan relocated to London, still often reporting in Russia. But last March, his mother got an unsettling call. It was Evan reporting in a remote Russian city.
He said that he needs to finish the story, and he'll go back next week.
2 days later, he was arrested, accused of espionage.
It was numbing. It's hard to feel anything. It's hard to think about anything.
The White House calls the charges ridiculous. His parents are grateful for the administration's support, but say that's not enough.
Evan is not here. It's been a year.
He spent all 4 seasons there. He spent his birthday and all the holidays. And
in a courtroom visit, they spoke to him through a glass cage in Russian, with guards monitoring every word. But still, his family remains hopeful.
We are keeping ourselves optimistic. That's the best way we can cope with it. No pessimism. Pessimism will kill all the hope.
If you could talk to Vladimir Putin, what would you say?
There's a human cost to this. We miss him so fiercely. We don't want him to have one more day of his freedom taken from him.
Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Philadelphia.
Now to the ongoing unrest in Haiti, which has been racked with gang violence and political turmoil for months. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber traveled to the Caribbean country. She has this report from an orphanage and birthing center that has become a sanctuary amid the chaos.
So this birthing center is run by a nonprofit that's based in the U.S., Mission Life International. They've been open since 2002. Most of the people here we've spoken to, they actually had their children here. Some of them recently, they've come back to try to meet with doctors to get medical appointments. This area where we are, it's more than 5 hours away by car from Port-au-Prince. Port-au-Prince, 80+% of that area is controlled by gangs. That's not the case here. There have been reports over the years of some gang activity in this area, but it's relatively limited. That being said, this area is a sanctuary. It's heavily fortified, security in the area and gates kind of at all times. As we've spoken to some of the mothers here with their children, some of the children who live here at the orphanage, they tell us even though things aren't at all like the severity of violence and chaos that has been seen in Port-au-Prince in this area, that still every single day they worry for their own safety and for their children's. And they say one of the big things here is the difficulty of getting food and water, clean water. They say if you can find it, and it exists, it's incredibly expensive. And at times, they're feeding their children before they feed themselves because that's really the only option. Back to you.
All right, Ellison, thank you for your reporting there. Now to the latest out of Gaza, where paramedics say at least a dozen Palestinians drowned while trying to retrieve aid packages that were airdropped into the sea. NBC News foreign correspondent Josh Lederman has that and other world headlines. Josh, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Yet another airdrop of badly needed humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip has now become fatal, with officials saying that 12 Palestinians died by drowning when they were trying to get aid that had fallen into the sea. Now, the Pentagon says 3 bundles of goods from a U.S. airdrop had parachute malfunctions and fell into the water instead of drifting onto land as it was supposed to. It is just the latest tragic incident during these airdrops trying to fend off impending famine in the Gaza Strip. Now over to Mexico, where forest fires spreading throughout the country are now burning in almost half of Mexico's 31 states. The National Forestry Commission says 58 active fires are burning right now, and they are threatening homes and protected nature reserves. The fires are being fueled by strong winds as well as drought conditions in Mexico. And finally to France, where an electric vehicle has just finished circumnavigating the entire globe for the first time. The electric Ford Explorer drove through 27 countries and crossed 6 continents, recharging with a mix of wall outlets, fast chargers, and portable battery packs. It is part of a broader push to try to prove that EVs are up to the challenge, despite consumers' concerns about how to recharge them when they're on the road. Joe?
Quite the accomplishment there. All right, Josh, thank you so much. Coming up, struggling to sleep? Well, researchers may have a cure. It's not a pill or a warm glass of milk. Dr. Azar is in to explain in our weekly checkup. Also, controversy in the classroom. We're going to take you to Tennessee, where parents say a new reading law has gone way too far. Watching Morning News now. Welcome back. It has been nearly 3 years since the Taliban seized power in Afghanistan, banning girls from receiving an education. Now, one young woman is sharing her story of escape to inspire young girls to continue their search for an education. NBC's Maya Eaglin has that story.
I began to grow up the day my mother warned me to stop laughing. She was terrified that even my momentary giggle could bring a strange man to our door.
Sola Mahfouz uses a pseudonym to protect her family members in Afghanistan. She says growing up there, before and after the Taliban, has been difficult for women and girls.
When I was 16 years old, I did not even know how to subtract, and that was because when I was 11 years old, I was forced to stop going to school.
Mahfouz co-wrote a book, Defiant Dreams, about her life and escape from Afghanistan with 22-year-old Stanford student Milena Kapoor.
Sola and I actually first met during the pandemic. She started telling me the stories from her life, and I started writing this book that became Defiant Dreams.
In 2024, Afghanistan remains the only country in the world where women and girls are not allowed to attend secondary and higher education.
Firshja Bassi is an Afghan researcher for Human Rights Watch living in exile in the UK. She says women have been banned from almost all aspects of public life in Afghanistan.
Women do not have the right to freedom of movement. They need to be accompanied by a male blood-related member of the family. Women do not have the right to protest, no right to freedom of expression, no right to assembly.
Today, Sola Mahfouz is a quantum computer researcher at Tufts University, but at the age of 11, before the Taliban officially regained power of the country, the societal pressures in Afghanistan changed Mahfouz's life forever.
A group of men, they came to our door and threatened my father that if he continued to going to school, like they will throw acid on our face or even a kidnap. So that's when we stopped going to school.
She secretly taught herself English and math using free resources like Khan Academy.
How were you able to educate yourself?
Because of it was online, I was in the secrecy and the safety of my home, I was able to learn.
Then Mahfouz made one of the most terrifying journeys of her life. She smuggled herself out of Afghanistan to take the SAT in 2015.
She crossed one of the most dangerous borders in the world into Pakistan, a border where people are regularly beaten with electric cables, where you have to take multiple vehicles to get across, where men and women have to cross separately.
But what I had to focus was okay, I'm doing the test. I was just focused on that step, that I just didn't think too much about the obstacles along the way.
She scored so well on the test that she got a scholarship to study in the U.S. in 2016. Mahfouz and Kapoor are now brainstorming ideas with Khan Academy to develop digital resources that are culturally tailored to Afghan girls. The duo says their goal is to keep sharing stories from women in Afghanistan, even partnering with the UN during Women's History Month.
Every day in Afghanistan, there are millions of human rights violations against women, and that's something that women around the world, but also everyone around the world, should feel very, very deeply. And so our mission is to bring these stories through our work with the UN, through our work with schools and building curriculum to as many people as we can.
Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Time now for our weekly medical checkup. This week we're talking about ways to get a better night's sleep for both you and your baby. Plus, a new study suggests that you can eat your way to a healthier heart. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Natalie Azar joins us now. So let's start with the heart. New research presented at the American Heart Association last week adds to this growing evidence that you might be able to improve your health through diet alone. What types of food are we talking about?
Yeah, that's right, Joe. So this is the whole concept here is food as medicine. And this isn't the first time that people have looked at these pilot studies, but in this one specifically, that doctors wrote a prescription for fresh produce, so fresh fruits and vegetables, and the participants were followed for a year. But they did this, they got this free fruit and vegetable for 16 weeks. And what they found was that participants increased their daily or weekly exercise, I should say, by about 42 minutes. And they also increased about half a serving a day of fruits and vegetables. These are local programs, and they get their food from locally sourced vendors, which is really kind of nice. And after a year, they found that the participants were able to lower their cholesterol. So my doctor's orders are diet can make a difference. Yeah. And I want to stop here for a second and just say, we always talk about how important healthy food is. And we really need to acknowledge that for so many people who live in this country, they do not have access to it. It is expensive and it's not easy to do. And these pilot programs really demonstrate that very, very much to me. But if you're interested in this, look for a program because you may be able to find something in your area that can provide some free meals of these healthy foods.
All right, very good. And of course, exercise is always important, and we're learning exercise can help if you're struggling to get sleep, right? What are we learning?
Yeah, so again, no shocker when I tell you that exercise is so good for your health, but what they found was that exercise really impacted people's ability to have good sleep. So exercising as little as 2 to 3 times per week, people slept better, they fell asleep faster, and they were less likely to have insomnia. So my doctor's orders here are also fairly straightforward. Exercise can make a difference in your sleep quality. In a short while, we're going to actually be talking about a study of sleep duration and potential risk for hypertension on the Today Show. And daily habits can really make a difference. And so, I know for a lot of people, I want to say excuses, kind of in air quotes, work and childcare and things, impact your ability to get this done. But I can't emphasize how important it is. And even a little bit is better than nothing.
And it can be, a walk. It can be some simple things,
absolutely.
Right? 2 to 3 times a week.
You don't need to take 2 hours and go to the gym and whatever. Doesn't need to be a lot, but every little bit does amount to something.
Let's talk about sleep. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends steps to promote safe sleep for babies.
Yes.
But some parents seem to think these are maybe unrealistic guidelines.
Right. So first of all, let's talk about what the guidelines are. You can think of them, the easy way to remember it are the ABCs. Babies should sleep alone. You can share a room, but they shouldn't be in bed with you. They need to sleep on their back, not on their tummies. And they should be in a crib that is not filled with a lot of soft, blankets and things like that. And this is, of course, because we're talking about sudden infant death syndrome. My doctor's orders here are to make a sleep plan and ask your pediatrician for tips. As a mom, this resonated, and I'm sure for any parents out there or anyone who's taking care of especially newborns, sleeping like a baby to me is a myth and a misnomer, okay? Babies don't just, some babies do, but not all babies will automatically fall asleep when you put them in their cribs. And I know for survival, parents want to get their sleep and they'll do anything they can. The poll was interesting, actually, Joe, because a significant number of people, in spite of knowing the right things to do and the ABCs, didn't follow the recommendations. They would, for example, have their baby sleeping in a car seat, even though they knew that it wasn't safe, just because they were so desperate for sleep. So to me, this says, we need to support new parents, whatever that means. But I want to say to our viewers and our listeners, I hear you. Yeah. I've been there. It does get better, but to the best of your ability, try to follow these guidelines, because unfortunately we have about a little over 3,000 cases a year of these sudden infant deaths related to sleep issues.
It's important, but you also understand the struggle.
Oh, I acknowledge the struggle.
All right.
I do.
Dr. Azar, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning. A Tennessee reading law is causing anxiety among thousands of fourth grade elementary school students there who could potentially be held back based on the results of a test. The law's goal was to boost lagging reading scores, but some students and parents think the expectations it sets might be too high. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park explains.
10-year-old Ava Weiss is a fourth grader in Tennessee who says there's one test next month that's giving her a lot of anxiety.
Talk to me about why it stresses you out so much.
I'm just not a good test taker, and I'm overachieving, and I just wish I could do better.
She's haunted by the outcome of last year's state assessment known as TCAP. The score on the English language arts section determines whether a third grader is held back, a policy under the reading retention law that went into effect last year.
You took the exam last year, and how did you do?
Well, I'm pretty sure almost all of us in my class failed, and I failed too.
Ava was among the 60% of third graders who fell short on the state's reading benchmark. But after backlash over the law, families were given options to get their child into the fourth grade, including summer school, tutoring, or an appeal, which Ava was granted.
It still affects her emotionally after failing the test last year and just feeling like she's not as joyful with school, not as excited about doing her work as she was before.
Ultimately, fewer than 900 students had to repeat the third grade last year. Roughly 12,000 students moved on to the fourth grade, opting for tutoring after falling short on the reading benchmark. Now, those students must show adequate growth on the English language section of the TCAP next month before they can advance to fifth grade. At the State Board of Education meeting last year, one member projected up to 6,000 students could be retained.
Unless the law were changed, then there would likely be roughly 5,000 or 6,000 fifth graders retained. Is that correct?
And this year, I think that's accurate.
State Representative Mark White, who chairs the Education Administration Committee, says Tennessee lawmakers are currently reviewing next steps for fourth graders being held back.
We are amending that particular bill right now. Everyone believes it's not healthy to hold back a third or fourth grader, but at the same time, it's not healthy to let them go on through high school where many drop out because school is too hard.
Tennessee isn't alone in enforcing a third grade reading retention law. Similar policies are in place in at least 26 states and the District of Columbia. Deborah Reed is a director of the Tennessee Reading Research Center.
Students that are not successful readers at the end of third grade, about 75% of them will struggle with reading for the rest of their lives. Illiteracy rates are associated with poor mental health, poor physical health, of course, limited education and limited access to employment.
Catherine Bike is a Knox County School Board member and the mother of a fourth grader who filed an appeal after her son didn't pass the English section of the TCAP last year.
So you noticed a drastic change after he took that exam?
Absolutely, yes. He's secretly a perfectionist, and he really holds himself to a high standard, and he just
started calling himself dumb and stupid and hitting himself in the head. And that was really hard to watch happen as a parent and to not know what to do for that.
With the next exam just weeks away, she says the pressure is building.
What are the lawmakers missing, you think?
I think that they're missing that these kids have feelings and emotions and the damage that's being done. I think they're really missing that.
Kathy Park, NBC News.
Coming up, consumers losing confidence in the economy. Up next, the new data that shows why expectations for America's financial future are slipping. You're watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. New data released yesterday revealed that consumer optimism over the economy appears to be waning. According to the Conference Board, the Consumer Confidence Index dipped slightly to 104.7 in March from 104.8 in February. Expectations for the next 6 months also slipped to the lowest level we've seen since October. Joining us now to discuss, Editor-in-Chief at Investopedia, Caleb Silver. So, most of the data tells us the economy is strong, maybe a little hot. Inflation's still an issue, but strong. So why are we seeing this issue with confidence?
Yeah, it is inflation because consumers are now used to the fact that it's going to be around for a while. We're not going to get deflation, a drop in prices. We'll get maybe disinflation where prices sort of cease to go up. But they're used to these higher prices, and it's putting a pinch on their pocketbooks. When you think about the things that we're spending on, it's that interest rates at a 24-year high. That interest inflation is a big deal for people with credit card debt, for people with any kind of flexible debt. Also, the credit card mortgage debt, all-time highs. Housing affordability at a 1980 low. It's really hard to afford rent these days. We've had rent inflation of over 25% in the last 4 years. So how we feel is one thing. What we actually do with our money is something totally different.
And that's what we're seeing here. So as we mentioned, the consumer confidence in the future also fell. So the expectations index dropped to 73.8 compared with 76.3 last month. What does that say, and what's that message that folks are sending to policymakers, to the Federal Reserve right now?
The numbers don't mean anything unless you know the context, and anything under 80 usually signals some trouble up ahead, potentially a recession, not always. But consumers are continuing to spend. They're worried about the future because they know prices aren't coming down, and people are dealing with trying to make ends meet month after month. That's been very hard for people. But if you look at spending, travel spending, experience spending, dining out spending, that is at an all-time high right now. People are continuing to spend. Some people call it selective splurging. Other people call it doom spending. People are spending on experiences, but they're worried that they're not going to have enough money going into the rest of the end of the year. But we continue to spend, Joe.
Is there a point where we think people are going to stop spending, or is there just no sign of that right
There's
now?
no sign of that. And every time we think that that's going to happen, we end up spending more. So when you think about air travel, that's something people are not willing to not spend on if they want to go see family. It's the experience spending that we're still doing. But you're seeing this rise in gas prices right now. You're seeing the fact that home prices are really not going down, and rent inflation is still a factor. Those are the things we can't avoid. So as gas prices go up, groceries and dining out remains high, it puts pressure on people. They don't feel good about it. That doesn't mean they're going to stop spending them.
What are the reasons for optimism right now when it comes to the economy?
Well, we got a stock market at or near all-time highs, and that has a wealth effect. We know that the top 10% own most of the stock market, but it has an overall wealth effect, and we know that jobs are plentiful right now. Still, people are still getting raises, and you've been making money in the bank. So while we have high credit card debt, people have made a lot of money with their money in the bank, about 5% a year.
All right. Caleb Silver, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Staying on your wallet, Apple just announced dates for its annual conference where the company could reveal its plans for AI. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. So mark your calendars. A big annual event for Apple is now planned for the beginning of June. It's the company's developer conference, which will take place from June 10th to June 14th. And attendees may get a first look at the tech giant's long-awaited artificial intelligence strategy. Now, even if Apple doesn't make any AI news, we can still expect to see the latest iPhone, iPad, and other tech at Apple's premier event over the summer. A big breakthrough for drug maker Merck, as the FDA has approved a key treatment for a rare lung condition. The life-threatening illness affects roughly 40,000 people in the country, and this is the first drug to target the condition, not just manage symptoms. And finally, your trip to McDonald's may be getting a little bit sweeter. The fast food giant announcing a partnership to sell Krispy Kreme donuts at their U.S. locations. The rollout will start in the second half of this year, but it will take until the end of 2026 to see donuts at every location, as Krispy Kreme will need to more than double its distribution to satisfy the partnership, Joe.
That is a lot of donuts. All right, Savannah, thank you so much.
You got it.
Coming up, it could be a game changer, literally. The NFL making some big changes to its kickoff rules, what fans can expect once the season starts. We're going to tackle it all next on Morning News Now. Remember when Peacock hosted an NFL playoff game in January? Well, football fans may want to renew their subscriptions if they haven't yet, because another exclusive NFL game is coming. The league just announced that its debut in Brazil on September 6th will be streaming exclusively on Peacock. The Week 1 game will feature the Philadelphia Eagles. Their opponent has not yet been named. You might remember the Dolphins-Chiefs wildcard game on Peacock delivered the largest streaming audience in U.S. history. Of course, Peacock is the streaming video service owned by NBC News' parent company, NBC Universal. Speaking of football, the game's about to look drastically different. That's because the NFL approved a major rule change for kickoffs. The move is only intended to last 1 year. Then the league can decide if it wants to keep the rules, change them, or just get rid of them altogether. Let's bring in Kavitha Davidson for more. She's a sports writer and co-author of the book, Loving Sports When They Don't Love You Back. Kavitha, good to have you with us this morning. So we might need lots of charts and graphics to try and explain this to folks, but as best as you can, explain this change to us when it comes to kickoffs.
Yeah, basically, without getting super into the details, the NFL has decided to move the kicking team further downfield. So the kicker will start at his own 35, and the rest of his teammates will line up on the opponent's 40. Then the receiving team will line up between the 35 and the 30. So they're shrinking the distance between those two lines. And the receiving team will be able to have two eligible receivers in what they're now calling a landing zone, which is the area from the 20-yard line to the goal line. They're also getting rid of fair catches, which means that if a ball is in play, if a ball lands in that landing zone or is caught and returned, it's caught, it has to be returned. So there are a lot of scenarios and a lot of stipulations here, but those are kind of the major takeaways.
Players are going to have to do a lot of math on the fly, I feel like where am I? What can I do now? Why are they making these changes? What's the main goal here?
Yeah, so in the last 10 to 15 years, the NFL has instituted a lot of small tweaks to kickoffs, because kickoffs are where a really high instance of concussions happen. You know, you have players rushing downfield at full speed, so you have this high instance of high impact collisions. Now, what they've seen as a result of these tweaks is that the number of concussions has gone down, but the rate has actually stayed pretty much the same. But the detrimental effect to the actual gameplay has been that the return rate has gone down to historic lows. Last year, it was 21.7%. So their goal with this is to make sure that the ball is actually returned. I believe their goal is to get that return rate up to 80%. And in order to incentivize the returning team in order to actually return the ball and not take a fair catch, and to incentivize the kicking team not to just sail the ball into the end zone, because a touchback now could result in the ball being placed on the 40-yard line.
It does seem like, especially when you're trying to reduce the fact that the players on the kicking team can just really pick up speed and get down the field, that this could cut down on injuries, right?
It does. And it's interesting that, you know, obviously the number of concussions went down because there were just fewer balls being returned. But, you know, there's been a huge debate in the NFL in the last several years about whether the kickoff is even relevant anymore. So you've had, you know, real conversations among fans and media about whether they should just have a starting position and get rid of the kickoff altogether. So this is a one-year experiment based on XFL rules that have been successful to bring relevancy back to the kickoff.
And we have like 45 seconds here, but one question I had when I was reading this was sort of onside kicks. Are there any changes here, or how does this impact that?
So that's the other major part of this. Onside kicks will only be allowed in the fourth quarter if a team is losing, and the onside kick has to be declared to the official before the play starts. So we will no longer see any more surprise onside kicks in the NFL.
All right, that'll be a big change, certainly, when you know the onside kick is coming instead of guessing that it might be coming. Kavitha Davidson, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but stick with us. The news continues right now. Now on Morning News Now, called off the search and rescue operation for those 6 missing workers from yesterday's terrifying bridge collapse in Baltimore, turning into a recovery mission. Officials say all 6 now presumed dead. We've got more on that search, plus the latest theory on what may have caused the giant ship to lose control as the ship's data recorder is recovered. In Washington, the legal back and forth over a widely prescribed abortion pill is heating up. The Supreme Court now signaling it may strike down that effort to restrict access to mifepristone nationwide. We're going to bring you the arguments and what the final ruling could mean for the future of abortion in America. We're also counting down to Paris with the Olympic-sized challenge of keeping the City of Light safe when the games kick off this summer. Our Keir Simmons has an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at the security measures already in place. And could there be yet another unintended side effect of taking those popular weight loss drugs? Later in the hour, why some women are claiming treatments like Ozempic help them get pregnant. We're going to begin with the latest on the Baltimore bridge collapse. Overnight, the searches for survivors ended, with the Coast Guard now officially calling this a recovery operation. We have team coverage from Baltimore, starting with NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas.
Good morning from the Port of Baltimore, where we've just received some breaking news. The NTSB has recovered the ship's voyage data recorder. This essentially is one of the first steps in figuring out how and why that massive cargo vessel lost power, causing the riverboat pilots who were at the helms to lose complete control, setting off this disaster. This morning, divers are expected back in the water, searching after that cargo ship crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge, causing its shocking collapse. And as authorities look for answers, the Wall Street Journal, citing people familiar with the probe, say investigators are looking into contaminated fuel, among other leads, and whether or not it played a role in the giant ship losing power and losing control. Officials announcing overnight the search and rescue operation for 6 missing construction workers is now a recovery mission.
That at this point, we do not believe that we're going to find any of these individuals still alive.
The wife of construction worker Miguel Luna telling our sister station Telemundo he was working on the bridge at the time, and she has not heard anything about his whereabouts. Luna, a father of 6 from El Salvador, posting a gender reveal of a grandchild just this month. The Mexican embassy in the U.S. saying the construction workers included people from Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador.
The whole bridge just fell down.
A live stream capturing the nightmarish moments of the collision. At 1:24 a.m., you can see the ship's lights turn off. They came back on a minute later as dark smoke started billowing. At 1:26 a.m., the lights go out again. 2 minutes later, the ship collides with the bridge. We flew overhead, witnessing the full scope of the destruction. As we get in closer, you're struck by how this bridge, something that appears to be sturdy with concrete and steel and pilings, can now look like this, all of it gone or wrapped around the cargo vessel that crashed into it. The vessel, identified as the Singapore flag container ship Dali, was headed to Sri Lanka. The ship's operator, Synergy, says all crew members have been accounted for and that it's cooperating with the investigation. The crew aboard the ship sending a mayday call just before striking the bridge.
Hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching that just lost their steering. So until you get that under control, we got to stop all traffic.
That signal giving authorities just enough time to close the bridge to traffic, likely saving lives. Sean Jackson actually loaded up the ship that crashed into the bridge. Did you notice anything strange yesterday?
No, I did not. Just a regular day. You know, I would have never thought in a million years that would happen.
Now, as for the new mission, the search and the recovery, the Coast Guard tells us their divers will be back in the water, but they're facing little to no visibility, along with the dangers of all that bridge debris and also the debris that could possibly breach their diving equipment. But they say they will not stop until they locate those bodies. Reporting from the Port of Baltimore, I'm Tom Yamas. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tom, thank you. The cleanup could be lengthy and rebuilding the bridge will take even longer. That'll not only create major headaches for commuters in the Baltimore area, it could also lead to supply chain issues for the entire country. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has a closer look at that part of the story this morning. Tom, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning to you. So, you talk about this port and how critical it is. This is not going to be an overnight effort to get this whole thing back up and running again. It's simply going to take longer than that. And then to your point about beyond the port, all of the roadways that are going to be affected because, of course, truck traffic in and out of the port is also dramatically curtailed. All of that feeds into the timeline, feeds into the supply chain issues. We're talking weeks to months before they can get this port reopened, and we're talking probably years before they can get the bridge rebuilt.
Here in Baltimore, the massive cleanup effort hasn't even started yet. Local commuters and the nation's critical supply chain must now adjust for what could be an extremely lengthy and costly effort to return to normal.
The path to normalcy will not be easy. It will not be quick. It will not be inexpensive, but we will rebuild together.
The busy Port of Baltimore almost entirely cut off, blocked by a large portion of the fallen Francis Scott Key Bridge after that overnight collision involving a massive cargo ship. The 9th busiest in the nation, Baltimore's port handled more than $80 billion in international cargo last year. Located in the heart of the mid-Atlantic, Baltimore is the closest East Coast port to the Midwest, and within a day's drive to a third of the entire country's population. It's also the nation's top port in terms of handling farm and construction machinery, and cars and light trucks, with nearly 850,000 vehicles passing through last year.
There is no question that this will be a major and protracted impact to supply chains.
The Key Bridge, spanning just a mile and a half of the 51-mile-plus Baltimore Beltway, still a vital local artery, carrying more than 11 million vehicles last year.
Drivers in this area are going to feel the impact pretty quickly here.
That includes nearly 4,900 truck drivers every day. Many of them use the bridge because of size and restrictions, barring hazardous materials from going through the city's 2 main express tunnels.
There's going to be significant disruptions to trucking on the East Coast.
Still, experts say it's unlikely we will see a massive supply chain backup like the one the country experienced during the pandemic.
Now, this is really interesting, that last point we made there. Unlikely that this will be as severe as during the pandemic supply chain crisis. Here's why. They've been building up redundancies in the supply chain over the last 4 to 5 years. And the thinking is it's in a much better position to handle all of the stress. Keep in mind, on the East Coast, we've also got the ports up in New York and New Jersey. Go further south, you've got Norfolk, Virginia, for example. Go even further south, and you're down into the Carolinas. So it's a much easier area to kind of make up for the lack of the Baltimore port. By the way, Carnival Cruise Lines, Joe, I know this is important to you. Carnival is suspending operations out of Baltimore, moving everything down to Norfolk because they can't get in and they can't get out of here. Back to you.
All right, understandable. Tom, thanks for your reporting. Appreciate it. The investigation into the collapse is, of course, just getting started. Maryland Governor Wes Moore declared a state of emergency shortly after the bridge was struck. Spent much of yesterday at the scene. Earlier this morning on Today, Governor Moore spoke about the investigation and meeting with family members. Here's part of that conversation.
I had the chance to spend time with their families yesterday, and in addition to people who simply just went to work yesterday to work on potholes, they had no idea that them going to work was going to turn into a deadly occurrence. But you know, when I had a chance to speak with their families and pray with and for their families, they just reminded me of who they were as people. We're still learning the details. We still have a thorough investigation that's going to take place to figure out both what led up to the power outage and then also what happened in the aftermath. And you're absolutely right. When you're looking at a cargo ship of that size and moving at that speed, it was going to be difficult for any infrastructure to be able to take on that blunt level of impact. But the consequences, the economic consequences, they cannot be overstated. And not just for the state of Maryland. We're talking about what this means for the entire country.
Governor Moore did not give a timeline on when the bridge could be rebuilt, but he called it a complicated effort for first responders who are in those cold waters dealing with debris underwater as the recovery efforts do continue. We're joined now by Ian Firth. He's a structural engineer who has extensive experience in bridge design all around the world. Ian, thanks for joining us this morning and allowing us to tap into your expertise. So the Key Bridge, it was a 1.5 mile long steel arch truss bridge. It was built back in 1977, about 47 years ago. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who we just heard from there, said the bridge was up to code. Explain to us what we should know about these types of bridges and this bridge design from about half a century ago.
Well, I mean, you know, it's very common kind of bridge in a way back then, and indeed even now we might, in certain circumstances, do something like it. But I mean, I would emphasise that it's actually nothing to do with the bridge design, this particular bridge design, or any kind of bridge design, because frankly, any bridge standing in that place struck by that vessel would have collapsed in that way, because frankly, it is not designed. Those kind of supports you can see from the images there, the supports, that sort of four-legged structure which supports the bridge, is a relatively lightweight structure, certainly not designed to sustain the kind of impact force that it experienced from the impact from that ship. That is one of the largest container vessels in the world, traveling even very, very slowly, is going to impart a very large force of many thousands of tons. And the structure is just not designed for it, and nor are any bridges, frankly, designed for that kind of impact.
You know,
we don't design our bridges that way. We prevent the impact by other means.
Looking at the numbers, according to a 2018 report from the World Association for Waterborne Transport Infrastructure, we've seen 35 major bridge collapses because of a ship or barge collision. Is there any thought that even goes into what could be done to bridge design to help with this, or is this just simply a fact that there's nothing?
No, absolutely. And ever since we go back to, I go back to 1975, the Tasman Bridge disaster in Hobart, Australia, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge in Florida, which you all know about, I'm sure. The collapse there, which again, both of those were ships hitting a bridge and knocking them down. When rebuilt, we rebuild them with what we call dolphins, or very large, robust concrete structures in the water, separate from the bridge, designed to deflect or arrest the vessel. If the ship hits one of those, obviously, the ship gets damaged, the dolphin gets damaged, but the bridge doesn't. The whole point is to have those things in the water. And so these days, if you were ever designing a bridge, and I've done several, across a major international waterway like this, you would absolutely include vessel impact protection. Or you could build a very, very large foundation such that the vessel can be stopped without it hitting the bridge structure, because the bridge structure can never be designed for that kind of impact.
Ian, very quickly, realistically, how quickly do you think we could see a new bridge replacement in this span here?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's asking that question, of course. It's 3 or 4 years, I suspect, probably. There's going to be a rethink about what kind of bridge. The new bridge will be almost certainly a much longer span, take the piers well away from that navigation channel, and think about all the approvals, the environmental approvals need to be had. But there's certainly a very significant desire to get it done quickly. But I think, we could design it pretty quickly, but the construction's going to take 2 or 3 years at least.
All right. Ian Firth, thank you for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The Supreme Court looks likely to reject a challenge that would restrict access to mifepristone, one of the most widely used abortion pills in the country. Yesterday, justices heard oral arguments on the Biden administration's appeal of lower court rulings that restrict access to the pill, including its availability by mail. A number of justices in the conservative-dominated court indicated the lawsuit should be dismissed. This is the first major case on abortion to come before the Supreme Court since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022. NBC News legal analyst Kristen Gibbons-Fedden joins us now to talk more about this. Kristen, good morning. So the justices really did focus on whether this group of anti-abortion doctors who brought the suit had legal standing to even bring the claim. Why focus on that instead of whether the FDA's decisions to lift restrictions on the drug were unlawful?
Well, the main focus on standing before you get to the merits allows the justices to say, hey, you know what? we don't even have to get to the merits. We can just deal with standing. And standing really is whether or not the plaintiffs actually have the right to sue. So if they focus on the standing, which is what they did, it suggests that that potential resolution can be dealt with on narrow grounds, narrow procedural grounds, and then the justices really don't have to explore the FDA's authority or really don't have to balance the reproductive rights with governmental regulation.
Let's dig into some of what we heard. Some of the conservative justices did appear skeptical about wading back into the abortion issue. Justice Gorsuch said, quote, "This case seems like a prime example of turning what could be a small lawsuit into a nationwide legislative assembly on an FDA rule or any other federal government action." Justice Barrett questioned whether the doctors had provided examples of actually participating in the abortion to end the life of the embryo or fetus. Again, these are conservative justices here. So what do you think what they had to say tells us about what we're going to see here?
Well, it really did reveal some interesting dynamics. As you pointed out, we had some interesting dynamics there. But, Justices Alito and Thomas really did seem most receptive to the plaintiffs, or in this case, the doctors, seeking to halt access. Their arguments really hinted at the willingness to scrutinize the FDA's action and really potentially limit drug access. But as you pointed out, a majority of the conservatives really did appear hesitant to really undermine the FDA's authority and really drastically curtail medication abortion access. As you pointed out, Gorsuch really did just say that he didn't want to turn this case into that nationwide legislative assembly. He didn't want to make those laws. And Kavanaugh and Barrett, as you pointed out, really doubted the plaintiffs' standing and really the court's role in second-guessing scientific determinations. So that split amongst the conservatives really does suggest, I think, first, that there's no clear consensus among the conservative justices on rolling back abortion rights or intervening in agency-related decisions post-Dobbs. And second, really, that the liberal justice is warning about a pending FDA regulations really resonated with some of the more conservative justices. But either way, the final decision's dynamics could really significantly impact abortion access and judicial power.
No doubt we'll be waiting to see what that decision is when it comes probably a few months down the line. Kristen Gibbons-Fedden, thank you for your time. Appreciate it as always. Former President Donald Trump is facing new legal challenges as he plans his return to the campaign trail with a judge issuing a gag order in his hush money case. Meanwhile, in an NBC News exclusive, Trump's daughter-in-law, the RNC's newly installed co-chair, says the Republican Party will not be paying his mounting legal bills. NBC's Garrett Hake covers the Trump campaign for us, joins us from Washington with the latest. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yeah, really, in this campaign, it's been almost impossible to separate Donald Trump's legal issues from his political campaign. But in our interview with the new RNC co-chair, Laura Trump, she tells me that in some ways she's hoping to do just that in an effort to try to move the party past 2020 and focus on defeating Joe Biden in this election. This morning, Donald Trump facing new limits on what he can say about the historic hush money case that will make him the first former president ever to face criminal trial. Judge Juan Merchan slapping Mr. Trump with a pretrial gag order that bars him from making public statements about potential witnesses, court staff, or jurors. The former president can still direct his anger, as he often does on social media, at the judge and DA Alvin Bragg. A Trump spokesman calling the order unconstitutional.
This is a pure case of voter intimidation and election interference, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen.
With Mr. Trump tied up in court battles, the newly installed RNC co-chair Laura Trump, the wife of his son Eric, says the party has to stay focused on November and embrace some tactics Donald Trump has long derided.
We have to start encouraging Republican voters to do things like voting early, trust mail-in voting. These are ways that we actually can have a big lead as we head into Election Day.
Laura Trump also saying the party will not fund Mr. Trump's legal costs directly, and that donors can opt out of a fundraising system designed to send portions of each donation to an account that pays some Trump legal bills.
How do you tell people who are sending money to the RNC that it's more important to put their money towards paying the legal bills of a billionaire than helping elect Republicans in Pennsylvania or in Michigan?
Anyone who does not want to contribute to that very small amount of money is able to opt out of that.
And with abortion back in the spotlight with that case before the Supreme Court, Mr. Trump has mused publicly about a federal abortion ban, though Laura Trump says the RNC won't weigh in before November.
Donald Trump has talked about the idea of maybe a 15 or a 16-week ban recently. Would you advise him to stay out of this issue from a federal perspective?
I think if you asked him now, I think he would say he agrees with allowing the states to decide.
And on the matter of the Republican National Committee, NBC News announced on Tuesday it would be parting ways with the party's former chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, who had been hired as a contributor by this network. Overnight, the former president attacking NBC for the hiring and the firing of McDaniel. Joe?
All right, Garrett, thank you so much. Staying with the 2024 election, let's take a look at one battleground state the Biden campaign is trying to flip. Trump narrowly won North Carolina back in 2020. Republicans aren't too worried about it yet. Polls have shown that the former president has the edge in the Tar Heel state and even leads on major issues like immigration and the economy. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster takes a closer look at the battle there.
Oh, hello, Raleigh. A Biden campaign show of force in North Carolina.
It is good to be back in this beautiful state.
The president and vice president on the trail together, working to buck a losing streak for Democratic presidential candidates here.
While Democrats haven't won a presidential race here in North Carolina since 2008, in 2020, President Biden came within striking distance, losing by just 1.3%.
But this year, with state polls showing a tight battle, North Carolina's Democrats hope down-ballot races will drive energy up the party ticket.
Good. Josh Stein.
Nice to meet you.
Starting with the race for governor, where Democratic Attorney General Josh Stein is facing the outspoken Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, who's earned headlines for making controversial and incendiary comments.
Now is not the time for this party to have weaklings who are unwilling to stand up and face the horde.
Stein campaigning with Biden, but keeping the focus on state issues like Medicaid expansion and public education at his individual stops, in a state where voters have elected a Democrat for governor in 7 of the last 8 cycles.
The thing about North Carolina is voters will go one way in federal races and another way in state races.
Why is that?
It's just a dynamic. There's a sort of an inherent sense of balance.
A balance the Biden campaign is vowing to tilt in 2024, this week unveiling their strategy in the South. Policy-focused visits to North Carolina and Georgia, tens of millions spent on early television ads.
And Joe Biden gets that.
And a focus on key suburban areas where Nikki Haley showed strength in the Republican primary.
Yeah, and I'm saying why not? Like, why not North Carolina? Why not every state in the South right now? Do we not see that type of investment?
The 26-year-old chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, Anderson Clayton, says the efforts will need to continue for Biden to overcome the political headwinds, from courting rural voters to breaking voter apathy.
Yes, he can win this state. Is that going to be an easy thing to do? Because it's going to be a fight, and it takes early investment. It takes boots on the ground everywhere. It takes people getting out into these communities and building the coalitions that he needs to say, this is how they fought for us.
Shaquille Brewster, NBC News, Raleigh.
Storm systems are impacting both coasts with rain and possible snow over the next few days. For more on that, let's check your Morning News Now forecast with meteorologist Angie Lastman. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. We've got a couple of storm systems, like you said, that we're going to watch impact both ends of the country. The first one across parts of the east, that's going to bring us some rain. But let's start out west, where we have multiple storm systems we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. That, yes, as you said, rain and some snow. We've got the winter alerts up across portions of the Sierra Mountains. We're going to watch those probably expand and stay with us over the next couple of days, too, because we've got a couple of rounds of this snow and, of course, that rain that we're going to be tracking. Here's what today looks like. Kind of unsettled, kind of a mess across this region. Closer to the coast, we're talking about rain and gusty conditions for Washington and Oregon. Farther inland across parts of the mountains, in those higher elevations, it's going to be the snow. In the lower elevations, we're going to see some ample amounts of rain as well. By tomorrow, the system works a little farther to the east, and now it's parts of the Rockies, specifically the central and northern Rockies, that we'll look at yet to pick up some additional snow, and we won't be done with the rain at the coast either. We'll still be dealing with that for folks in that region. As we get through at least Friday with this storm system, we're going to see anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches of rain. It's not going to be surprising if we see some mudslides, some flooding concerns across that part of the country. We'll also see plenty of snow in some of those higher elevations, as I mentioned, specifically across the Sierra Range, 1 foot to 2 feet possible in that spot. Meanwhile, we've got another storm system that we're going to watch. This is the one we're seeing impacting us in the short term. Long term, Friday through Sunday, so weekend plans could be impacted by that heavy rain that works on shore for folks in California. So we'll be watching that for your weekend. Meanwhile, parts of the southeast, unsettled. We've got the showers and thunderstorms. That line has really been impacting folks in that same region through the day today, from the Big Bend up into the Carolinas. And you guessed it, that's where we've got those alerts up, flood watches right now for those locations. Those will stay with us through the day today as more of that rain works along the coast. By tomorrow, we do see most of that heavy rain shifting up into portions of the Northeast, mostly, especially for the morning commute. I think you'll have to contend with those slick roads, the ponding, the slower travel, even air travel from Philadelphia to Boston. So heads up for that. It could slow you down. By the time we get through Friday, 1 inch to 3 inches is what we're looking at on the higher end. But we could see a couple of isolated spots up to 5 inches, hence the reason that we're concerned about the flooding. Of course, never driving through those flooded roadways. Looking ahead to your Friday, nice day for most of the 2/3 of the country. By the West Coast, I mentioned that next storm system, Joe, we'll have to watch into the weekend. We'll have a flood risk and some snow to watch across parts of California.
I will take nice day. That's fine.
I did that for you.
Thank you. Nice day. Love it. Thank you, Angie. Appreciate it. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. Later, we're going to dig into some of the economic shock waves that could soon stem from yesterday's bridge collapse in Baltimore. What it could mean for your wallet in the coming months, even years. But first, we're going to head to Paris with an exclusive look at the security strategy in place for this summer's Olympic Games. Our Keir Simmons went behind the scenes and joins us next. Welcome back. We're just a few months away from the start of the 2024 Summer Olympic Games in Paris, and security officials are busy putting plans in place to keep both athletes and audiences safe. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons is here with an exclusive look behind the scenes of the preps currently underway. Keir, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning, or I should say bonjour, right? How do you put into words how extraordinary these games are going to be, in the sense that the games are going to be part of Paris, and of course that is going to mean, as you say, an extraordinary security operation. 1 million background checks, Joe. Perhaps the best way is to show you from the air. When the spectacular Olympic opening ceremony gets underway on the Seine this summer, this may be the best seat in Paris. NBC News was given exclusive access into the operation to keep athletes and spectators safe, including from the air. The Château de Versailles. It's a bird's eye view of an unprecedented Open Olympics in the heart of this beloved city.
So we're over the River Seine right now. You will have the Tour Eiffel on your left.
Under the Eiffel Tower, there'll be beach volleyball, as world-famous landmarks become sports venues, like fencing and taekwondo at the Grand Palais, and archery at the Esplanade des Invalides. The heart of Paris, hosting so many Olympic events, officials say the security operation will itself make history.
There will be 45,000 security personnel across Paris.
The helicopter unit of the military police, the National Gendarmerie, say they are able to reach anywhere in Paris, anytime.
We can take off in 5 minutes, 24 hours, and we're able to offer 2 to 3 helicopters whenever it's needed.
Ahead of the opening ceremony, with 10,000 athletes and 300,000 spectators, officials say they'll search and secure every neighboring rooftop. And on one of those rooftops, the Gendarmerie's anti-drone squad tell us they liaise with forces like the NYPD, using a radar gun to neutralize illegal drones.
Voyage!
This week, France raising its security alert level following the Moscow terror attack. But protecting the Paris Olympic Games has been years in the planning.
We will continue to defend the values of our country and to welcome the world.
On the front line, too, 4.5-year-old Praxis. The Belgian Shepherd trained to both search and attack if there's a threat. He's a beautiful dog. So, will they maybe get a chance to watch some Olympic sport? We'll be working, he says.
So we're performing a 360 around the village.
Over the Olympic Stadium, the helicopter team promises we won't see them, but they'll have eyes everywhere in the City of Light.
So that people who are coming in Paris can feel safe.
What a beautiful view of Paris there. All right, so the opening ceremony, July 26th. What are we learning about that and how they're going to keep that safe? Because that's going to be everywhere, right?
That's exactly right. So 3.5 miles, Joe, 90 boats. And yeah, they do seem to be refining their security operations. So they cut the numbers of spectators by half. It's going to be ticketed. And President Macron just this week announced 4,000 more soldiers are going to be there to help protect the games. So exciting, and at the same time, they are really drilling down and leaning in to ensure that the whole time we are safe.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the surprising thing. I think people have to be ticketed even though it's happening throughout the entire city. That's just how secure this is.
Exactly right. But they're going to search. I mean, trust me, they're going to look everywhere to make sure. It's going to be an amazing games. It
Absolutely.
Really is.
I can't wait to see it. And by the way, if you're in America, you can't make it there, you can watch the opening ceremony in the IMAX now. That was just announced. So see it on a big screen.
Love that.
All right. Thanks, Keir. Appreciate it. More international news now. Tensions between Israel and the U.S. are on full display after the latest UN ceasefire vote. NBC's Josh Letterman joins us with that and other news from around the world. Josh, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Israel and the U.S. are now publicly trading blame over who is responsible for Hamas rejecting the latest proposal for a ceasefire and hostage release deal. Israel is blaming that setback on damage from a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire, which the U.S. allowed to pass. But the U.S. says that is not true and that Hamas had prepared its response before that vote ever happened. Now, back here in London, where the famed British Museum is suing one of its former curators for allegedly stealing nearly 2,000 artifacts and then trying to sell them online. The museum says that curator Peter Higgs stole gems and jewelry and then used fake names and documents to list them on eBay. The court has ordered him to return any items he has and to hand over his eBay records. And finally, to the Amazon rainforest, which is getting a $1.1 billion investment from Brazil and France. It comes as the two countries are trying to improve relations as well as their trade relations after years of conflict between their two leaders. France and Brazil says they will spend the money over the next 4 years to try to strengthen protections for the rainforest. Joe, back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Coming up, could popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic help you get pregnant? After the break, we're going to look at this possible unintended side effect that's taking over social media and hear what fertility experts say about it. That's next. We're back now with another phenomenon possibly tied to those popular weight loss drugs. Some women who are taking them and have struggled with fertility or are on birth control are getting pregnant. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson joins us with more on this. Ann, good morning.
You know, this is yet another thing that these drugs are changing about people's lives. We know they can help you lose weight, they can regulate your blood sugar, and in Wegovy's case, it can reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke by about 20%. But now women are revealing an unintended consequence.
It is the talk of social media.
I'm pretty sure Ozempic got me pregnant.
Women sharing their stories about new weight loss drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic.
I stopped the medication at 3 weeks when I found out I was pregnant.
To say despite infertility issues or birth control, they're getting pregnant.
I got pregnant on a GLP-1.
Including Deb Oliviera.
Yes, I was taking semaglutide, which is also known as Ozempic. It's very welcomed. It may have been a shock and not at all in our plans, but we're open to it.
The 32-year-old Michigan mother of two struggled with fertility, including 2 miscarriages and a stillbirth. Last November, Deb turned to Ozempic to lose 20 pounds. She says her birth control usage was inconsistent.
Deb, were you warned that these weight loss drugs could increase fertility?
No, I was honestly unaware until after I found out that I was pregnant.
Fertility specialist Dr. Lucky Seacon has followed this baby boom online.
You're not surprised by any of this?
I'm not. I think for anyone who understands the interplay between body weight and ovulation, hormonal balance, and fertility, it's not surprising.
Because of the role she says obesity can play in infertility.
How can these weight loss medications lead to an unexpected pregnancy?
Excess weight can really influence the hormonal balance. So if you lose the weight and that normal hormone balance is restored and you start ovulating, that can make you more fertile.
The phenomenon now tracked by Novo Nordisk, the maker of Wegovy. It has an online Wegovy pregnancy registry for patients and providers to help healthcare providers, patients, and researchers better understand the safety of Wegovy and other weight loss medications during pregnancy. And in statements to NBC News, both Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly point out there is information on the package inserts that these drugs may cause fetal harm. Users are told to discontinue the drugs. But not all these drugs are the same. Dr. Seacon says Mounjaro and Zepbound can also impact the effectiveness of birth control pills.
These medications will work by slowing the motility or the movement of food through your gut, and that can lead to a lowered absorption of the medications that you take orally, like birth control pills.
Do they need to use a second form of contraception if they don't want to get pregnant?
That's the recommendation, yes.
Now, there are warnings in both Mounjaro and Zepbound's package inserts that these drugs can make birth control pills less effective. So read those inserts. Those inserts also warn that taking the drugs while pregnant could harm your unborn child. This really is kind of uncharted territory because they weren't able to do studies on human pregnant women. They did animal studies. So they're collecting this data, but it really is uncharted territory. So be very careful.
We're learning as we go here.
Yep.
All right, Ann, thank you so much. We've got more to come this hour, including our continuing coverage of that tragic bridge collapse in Baltimore. After the break, the aftershocks we could see in America's shipping economy, even infrastructure. Stay with us. That's next on Morning News Now. We're now back with more on our top story. A recovery mission is now underway following Tuesday's Baltimore bridge collapse. 6 construction workers who were on the bridge when a cargo ship struck a pillar are presumed dead. Now, one of the nation's largest ports will remain closed for the foreseeable future. The tragic accident is putting a spotlight on the state of infrastructure here in the U.S. as well. NBC's Ryan Nobles joins us from Baltimore with that side of the story. Ryan, good morning.
Joe, good morning, and everyone has seen the video. It took just seconds for the key bridge to fall into the Patapsco River here behind me. And while this was a unique and catastrophic event, it is raising new questions about America's aging roads and bridges.
It happened in an instant. A massive bridge built nearly 50 years ago, gone in seconds. What happened in Baltimore was shocking, but it was a freak accident. And according to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, not a sign of a bigger problem.
How concerned should Americans be about the bridges that they're traversing every single day in this country?
Well, this is a unique circumstance. I do not know of a bridge that has been constructed to withstand a direct impact from a vessel of this size.
The bridge really did not stand a chance because of the size of the load that it felt. Maryland's governor says the bridge was fully up to code. In 2021, a Federal Highway Administration inspection found the bridge was in fair condition. Still, experts say it was built at a time when shipping vessels were much smaller, and engineers could not imagine an accident like the one that happened this week. In 2021, the CEO of Synergy Marine Group, the company that manages the ship that caused the Baltimore collapse, told Bloomberg, quote, "Traffic on the seas is different from what it was 10 years ago. We need to look at how the port infrastructure needs to change, how ships transit." Some bridges already have barriers to protect their support structures. Experts telling NBC News these protection systems should be installed at every bridge. But America's infrastructure is getting more and more attention. In 2007, the collapse of the I-35 bridge in Minnesota killed 13 people. Unlike Baltimore, federal investigators said a design error led to its collapse. And just last year, major fires caused the partial collapse of Interstate 95 in Philadelphia. In 2023, the Federal Highway Administration found 42,000 bridges were in poor condition. And experts believe the tragedy, while incredibly unique, offers an opportunity.
I think that this is a call to action.
Meanwhile, it is going to take a significant amount of time to get this span of bridge back open. It took 5 years to build the Key Bridge nearly 50 years ago. Experts say the most ambitious plans would have the new bridge back up and running in 18 months to maybe 2 years. Joe.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Let's talk more about this and the economic impact of the bridge collapse. We're joined by our senior business correspondent, Christine Roman. So first of all, we've got the port, which is one of the busiest ports on the East Coast. I think the 11th busiest in the country. What's the impact when it comes to that?
Well, they have to figure out how to get those ships that are the container ships that are in the port now out, and the ships that are outside trying to get in have all been rerouted. And I'll tell you, it's pretty impressive. A lot of these companies by 7 a.m. yesterday, 8 a.m. yesterday, had already made plans to get their goods to other ports along the East Coast. So in a strange way, COVID was a dress rehearsal for these significant supply chain snarls, and they have the infrastructure in place in their companies to be able to start moving stuff.
And there are other options along the East Coast, not too far away, which is helpful. Okay, let's talk about the bridge. When you remove this major artery that gets people from one side to the other, whether they have to work, whether they have to transport things for work, that's going to have a huge impact, right?
It will, and it could be worse because we already have the muscle memory of working from home and hybrid work, and so a lot of these companies are asking their employees, just stay put. We're going to work from home. We're going to have our meetings from home until we figure out what the commuting situation is going to be. The bigger issue is trucks and truck traffic that are not allowed to go through tunnels in the region. So a lot of companies are going to be, again, scrambling to figure out how to unsnarl what is, again, a snarled supply chain.
And the cars that were using that, including those trucks that had to use it, now have to go somewhere else in a place that already has.
What a nightmare, right, if you're a commuter.
Exactly. We just heard Ryan say maybe best case scenario, we're looking at 18 months to 2 years. What's the short-term and long-term economic impact we're looking at?
So the short-term economic impact is really for Baltimore proper, because all of the economists we're talking to are saying that longer term, these supply disruptions will be minimal impact on overall U.S. GDP. But if you are, for example, in the market for a car in the Midwest, right, or you are buying a combine that right now is a farm equipment that is stuck in one of these container ships, you could see delays. You could see maybe a little bit higher sticker price for some of those things. That might be the only place we would see inflation if we do see it from this obvious, mess here in terms of how to get goods going. But cars, we're really going to be watching autos and farm and construction machinery. That's a really central place for those things to get into the country, and that is clogged up at the moment.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning. Good to see you. More money news now, including how former President Trump's Truth Social is doing on Wall Street. And CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yes, so former President Trump may be making some money in the stock market, and not a moment too soon. The parent of a social media company, Truth Social, began trading yesterday and surged as much as 59% after the opening bell. Trump has a 60% stake in that parent company, which is trading under the ticker DJT. The board of the company, which includes Trump's son, can allow Trump access to these funds, which could be in the billions should he need them. Prices of your favorite sweet treat may be going up. Cocoa prices are soaring to record levels, and some warn the worst is yet to come. The cost of cocoa has tripled over the past year, and supply issues resulting from bad weather and disease are not easing up. Major chocolate companies say they have been using hedging strategies to manage the price volatility and avoid passing on higher prices to consumers. And finally, Costco is cracking down on who can buy their famous hot dogs. The wholesale retailer is reportedly planning to limit access to their food courts to members only. The $2 slices and the $1.50 hot dogs have been a draw for members and non-members alike, but It looks like you need to officially join the Costco Club to keep enjoying the cheap eats, Joe. I didn't even know non-members had access to that. I thought only members.
I was literally about to say the same thing, and now it's going to be like, well, how much do you like those hot dogs?
Right, exactly.
All right, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Coming up, a big bet might pay off in the world of sports betting, but to the athletes, well, it's a lot more taxing on them than you might think. We're going to be taking a look at betting and mental health next. Welcome back. Emmy-winning actor Jeremy Allen White could be going from the bear to the boss for his next role. Variety is reporting that White is in talks to play Bruce Springsteen in an upcoming movie. The film will be an adaptation of a book that tells the story of the making of Springsteen's classic album, Nebraska. Entertainment company A24 is in talks to make the movie, which will be titled Deliver Me From Nowhere, written and directed by Scott Cooper, who wrote and directed the movie Crazy Heart. Jeremy is currently filming seasons 3 and 4 of The Bear in Chicago. For many sports fans, especially in the heat of March Madness, all bets are on. Literally, fans will likely bet nearly $3 billion on both the men's and women's tournaments this year. But as NBC News correspondent Sam Brock reports, all that pressure is actually taking a pretty big toll on the athletes' mental health.
The ads are everywhere, in every stadium, for every sport, here, overseas, and definitely on TV with big names.
DraftKings showing up big for the Super Bowl.
Hey, Tom. Hi, Wayne Gretzky. It helps to think like your favorite player.
Sports gambling, now legal pretty much coast to coast. Just 5 years ago, only one state allowed betting, Nevada, but after a Supreme Court ruling, now as many as 38 states, plus D.C., allow it, many of them online. The American Gaming Association saying Americans put $121 billion down on games last year. That's up 30% from 2022. But that shift changing the game for athletes, too, in some cases taking a toll. Like for Indiana Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton, who says he's seeing a sports psychologist and says gamblers clog his feed to criticize his performance.
To half the world, I'm just, helping them make money on DraftKings or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm a prop.
And his feed is hardly the only one. Toronto Raptors forward Chris Boucher talking about the racist abuse that he's facing because of gambling.
Somebody said I chose the wrong slave because I had only 5 points and he needed me to score 10.
These are human beings. They're not property. You don't own them. They don't owe you anything.
The problem is not just permeating the pros.
That's a timeout on betting.
That's why the NCAA is starting this Draw the Line PSA to address gambling and the harassment that can come with it.
A threat at one of our championships last year was serious enough that we provided 24/7 protection throughout the tournament to that team. Imagine trying to play your best under those circumstances.
Lawmakers and regulators now taking action, like in Ohio, where there's a law banning specific bets on college players and their performance. Or a bill in West Virginia heading to the governor's desk, banning people from sports betting if they have a pattern of harassment. And now there's movement on Capitol Hill, too. Congressman Paul Tonko planning to introduce the Safe Bet Act. Among other things, it would ban betting ads during live sporting events, regulate language in the ads, block sports books from using AI to track habits and target certain people, and cap the number of deposits a bettor can make during a 24-hour period.
I think it's tragic that an industry can focus in that way and really prey upon a certain audience that is impacted and is at high risk. The onus is on the gambler. We're trying to put that onus back onto the sports books.
And as March Madness plays out, experts urging viewers to enjoy the games and support the players.
The people who you're betting on are 18 to 23-year-olds. Seeing them as human, I think, helps the whole situation.
No kidding. Our thanks to Sam Brock for shining a light on that incredibly important issue. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Stay with us. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.